Some of you walked in here smiling, but you barely made it. You survived a season that tried to silence your praise, drain your faith, and convince you that you were finished. The storm didn't come because you were weak. It came because there was something valuable inside you. You've been stretched, pressed, misunderstood, and tested. There were moments when you didn't know how you would make it through the night, yet somehow here you are, still standing, still breathing, still believing. Let me tell you something today. That season did not defeat you. It revealed you, because the fire didn't consume you, it refined you. The pressure didn't crush you, it produced you, and the struggle didn't destroy you. It proved that you are stronger than the season that tried to break you. The season tested me, but it didn't define me. There was a time when I thought the weight of what I was carrying would become my identity. I thought the pain would put a permanent label on my life, that the struggle would introduce me before I ever opened my mouth. But seasons are temporary, and tests are not titles. What I walked through was real, it was heavy, it was painful, but it was not who I am. It was something I experienced, not something I became. Too many people confuse what they're going through with who they are, and they let a moment write a story it was never authorized to tell. I had to learn that just because something challenged me didn't mean it had the authority to define me. That season came to measure me, not name me. It came to examine my faith, not erase my future. It came to stretch me, not shrink me. And while I didn't understand it when I was in the middle of it, I can see now that the test was never meant to make me quit. It was meant to show me what I could endure. I cried some nights. I questioned myself. I questioned God. I questioned whether I had heard him right. There were moments when my confidence was shaken and my strength felt borrowed. But even in my weakest moments, there was something in me that refused to give up. That wasn't luck. That wasn't coincidence. That was purpose refusing to die under pressure. The season tested my patience when things moved slower than I expected. It tested my faith when prayers didn't get answered on my timetable. It tested my character when I was misunderstood and misjudged. It tested my endurance when the same battle seemed to repeat itself day after day. But even while I was being tested, I was being shaped. Even while I felt like I was losing, I was learning. Even while it looked like I was falling apart, God was putting something together on the inside of me that would last longer than the pain. The test revealed cracks I didn't know were there, but it also revealed strength I didn't know I had. There were voices, external and internal, that tried to tell me this was it, that this was the ceiling, that this was as far as I would go. Some of those voices came from people, and some came from my own fear. But I had to silence every voice that tried to turn a season into a sentence. I had to remind myself that storms don't get the final word. Circumstances don't get to define destiny. Failure doesn't cancel calling. Delay doesn't mean denial. And weakness doesn't disqualify you when grace is involved. I am not the sum of my worst days. I am not the mistakes I made while I was hurting. I am not the version of myself that existed when I was just trying to survive. That season exposed me, but exposure is not the same as definition. Exposure shows you what's there so it can be healed, corrected, and strengthened. Definition locks you into a box and tells you that you can never be more than this. God doesn't define us by our tests. He develops us through them. What I went through forced me to confront parts of myself I had been ignoring. It stripped away my need for approval. It challenged my dependence on comfort. It taught me how to stand when no one was clapping and how to trust God when. The evidence was thin. I didn't come out the same, but I came out better. There were moments when I felt embarrassed by what I was going through moment. When I wanted to hide because I didn't look like the promise anymore. But I learned that you don't have to look like the promise to still be in process. Seeds don't look like harvest while they're buried, but that doesn't mean growth isn't happening. The season tested me underground, in hidden places where no one could see my faith but God. And it was there in the unseen that my roots went deeper. It was there that my dependency shifted from people to God. It was there that my identity became anchored in who He said I was, not in what I was experiencing. I stopped asking, why is this happening to me? And started asking, what is this teaching me? I learned discernment. I learned boundaries. I learned how to say no without guilt. And yes, without fear. I learned how to trust God's timing even when I didn't like it. The season tested my emotional strength, but it also healed emotional wounds I didn't know were still open. It tested my faith, but it also purified it, burning away shallow beliefs until only what was real remained. What tried to wear me out actually worked something into me that no easy season ever could. I had to forgive myself for how I handled parts of that season. I had to release shame for moments when I doubted, moments when I wanted to quit, moments when I wasn't my best self. I realized that growth doesn't require perfection, it requires perseverance. God didn't discard me because I struggled. He walked with me through it. And the fact that I'm still here is proof that the test did not defeat me. It challenged me, yes. It humbled me, yes. It stretched me beyond what was comfortable, yes. But it did not define me. Now, when I look back, I don't see a season that ruined me. I see a season that refined me. I see a chapter, not the whole book. I see a lesson, not a life sentence. I see evidence that I am stronger than I thought, more resilient than I knew, and more supported by God than I ever realized. The season tested me, but it couldn't take my identity. It tested me, but it couldn't steal my purpose. It tested me, but it couldn't rewrite what God already spoke over my life. And if you're in a season right now that feels like a test, I want you to hear this clearly. This is not who you are. This is something you're walking through, not something you're stuck in. You are not defined by the pressure, the pain, the delay, or the disappointment. You are defined by the God who is walking with you through it. The season tested you, but it does not have the authority to name you. You are still called. You are still chosen. You are still capable. And when this season passes, because it will pass, you'll realize that it didn't break you. It prepared you. Pressure revealed my purpose. There's a way that life presses on us that feels unbearable, that makes the weight of each day seem heavier than the last, and yet, in that very pressure, something inside begins to awaken. Pressure is not always easy to recognize as a teacher because it comes disguised as difficulty, as challenge, as a test of endurance. But if we look closely, we realize that pressure has a way of showing us what we are made of forcing us to confront the parts of ourselves that we had ignored, the potential we had overlooked, and the destiny that was waiting to emerge. Pressure strips away illusions and reveals truth. And in my journey, it revealed my purpose. It revealed the calling that had always been there, quietly waiting for the right moment to be discovered. There were times when the pressure felt like it would crush me entirely. Responsibilities piled on responsibilities, expectations mounted, and the days blurred together with stress that seemed unending. I felt stretched in every direction, pulled by obligations, by dreams, by fears, and by the sheer force of life demanding more than I thought I could give. But pressure, as uncomfortable as it is, does not come to destroy us. It comes to awaken us. It comes to remove the things that are unnecessary, the distractions, the excuses, the comforts that have kept us from stepping fully into the path we were meant to walk. The more I faced challenges, the more I saw clearly that pressure was not an enemy, it was a guide. It was guiding me toward a clarity that only the tension of the moment could bring. In the midst of pressure, I had to make choices I never wanted to make. I had to face fears I had long avoided. I had to confront weaknesses that I wished didn't exist. And yet, in those moments, something remarkable happened. I discovered strengths that I didn't know were there. I discovered resilience I had only ever imagined. I discovered courage that surprised even me. Pressure has a way of uncovering these hidden aspects of ourselves because it forced us to act, to respond, to push through when everything inside screams to quit. Purpose cannot be found in comfort. It cannot be discovered in ease. Purpose emerges when we are forced to rise, to stretch, and to press forward against the odds. I learned that pressure reveals priorities. When life presses hard, it becomes clear what really matters. The noise of trivial things falls away. The distractions lose their grip. And we are confronted with the core of who we are and what we were created to do. What truly matters begins to shine through the chaos, and suddenly, decisions that once seemed complicated become simple. Pressure exposes the unnecessary and illuminates the essential. It asks us to discern what is meaningful and what is not, what deserves our energy and what does not. And in that discernment, we find alignment with our purpose. The more intense the pressure, the clearer the revelation, because the weight makes it impossible to ignore the calling that has always been there, whispering quietly in the background. Pressure also revealed my persistence. There were moments when I thought I could not continue, when every step forward felt like it required more than I could give. But purpose has a way of sustaining us even when our energy falters. It keeps the fire burning when circumstances seem dark. It reminds us that there is a reason we were made for this path, a reason that no obstacle can erase, a reason that gives us the strength to take one more step, even when the body and mind cry out for rest. I discovered that persistence is born out of pressure, that the act of continuing in the face of difficulty strengthens resolve, builds character, and uncovers the deeper truth of why we are here. Without the pressure, I might never have realized the depth of my commitment or the endurance of my spirit. Pressure revealed my creativity. When options seemed limited and resources felt scarce, I had to think differently, adapt, and innovate. Pressure forces us to explore solutions we would not consider in comfort, to take risks we would otherwise avoid, and to stretch our imagination to meet the demands of the moment. It pushes us beyond conventional thinking and forces us to tap into a deeper source of ingenuity. The problems that seemed insurmountable became opportunities to discover new ways of being, new strategies, new approaches that aligned more closely with the person I was called to be. Purpose is often hidden behind challenges, waiting for us to stretch our minds and spirit enough to reach it. And pressure is the catalyst that makes that stretch inevitable. There were also moments of doubt, moments when I questioned whether the pressure was worth enduring, whether the challenges were necessary, whether the path I was on was truly mine. But purpose does not always reveal itself in ease. It reveals itself in persistence, in faithfulness, and in the willingness to continue when answers are not immediately clear. I realized that the very things that made me feel trapped, exhausted, and overwhelmed were also the things that were shaping me, defining me, and leading me to my calling. Pressure became a mirror, reflecting not only my limitations, but also my potential, showing me who I could be if I refused to quit. Pressure revealed my reliance on something greater than myself. There were moments when I realized that I could not do it alone, that my own strength, intelligence, or determination was insufficient for the task at hand. It was in those moments of vulnerability that I discovered the source of true power, faith, guidance, and support that lifted me when I could not lift myself. Purpose is not just about what we can do. It is about what we are connected to. The vision that God or the universe or life itself has placed within us. Pressure revealed the necessity of trusting that higher purpose, of surrendering control when the weight felt unbearable, and of allowing the journey to shape me in ways I could not have anticipated. It taught me humility, dependence, and the importance of aligning my efforts with a plan far greater than my own. Through pressure, I came to understand the depth of my resilience. Every obstacle, every challenge, every moment of exhaustion was a confirmation that I was capable of more than I had believed. Pressure does not just test us, it stretches us, shapes us, and molds us. It creates tension that transforms potential into reality, and it forces us to confront the truth of our capacity. What I once thought of as breaking points became milestones of growth. What I once feared as impossibilities became evidence of endurance. Pressure revealed the core of my purpose because it demanded that I rise to meet it, whether I felt ready or not. In retrospect, I see that every trial, every difficulty, and every demanding moment was orchestrated to uncover the purpose that had always been within me. Pressure revealed what was hidden, illuminated what was dormant, ignited the passion that had been quietly waiting for the right conditions to emerge. It revealed the alignment of my talents, my experiences, and my passions with the calling I was meant to fulfill. It showed me that the very struggles I resisted were the instruments of my awakening, the tools that sharpened my focus, and the fires that purified my vision. Pressure revealed that purpose is not something that is given once and for all. It is something discovered, refined, and confirmed through experience. It is something that requires endurance, creativity, persistence, and faith. It is something that emerges not in comfort, but in challenge, not in certainty, but in the willingness to face the unknown. It is something that pressure makes visible, because without it, we might remain blind to the power, potential, and destiny that lie dormant within us. I understand now that the moments that felt unbearable were actually the very moments that revealed the depth, clarity, and magnitude of my purpose. Pressure revealed my purpose because it stripped away the superficial, challenged the ordinary, and demanded extraordinary response. It forced me to confront who I truly am, what I truly value, and what I am truly capable of achieving. And in the end, what I discovered was that the pressure I feared most was actually the instrument of revelation, the catalyst that transformed uncertainty into clarity, struggle into insight, and challenge into calling. Pressure revealed my purpose, and in that revelation, I found not only who I am, but also who I am meant to become, and the path I am destined to walk. What tried to break me built my strength. There were moments in my life when I felt like the world was against me, moments when circumstances seemed designed to crush my spirit, to make me small, to make me doubt the very purpose I carried in my heart. I remember nights when the weight of life felt unbearable, when I wondered if I would ever emerge from the storm. But what I have come to understand is that the very things that tried to break me were not sent to destroy me, they were sent to build me. They were instruments in the hands of life, or God, or the universe, that had a purpose far beyond my understanding at the time. Every trial, every heartbreak, every disappointment, every failure was secretly constructing a foundation beneath me, strengthening my resolve, and preparing me for the greatness that lay ahead. Strength is not born in comfort. It is forged in the fire of adversity, tempered by struggle, and shaped by challenges that push us to our limits. When life presses against us, it forces us to reach deeper than we ever thought possible. It exposes the reservoirs of courage, patience, and resilience that we might not even know exist until we are tested. I learned that the tests that seemed designed to break me were actually the very moments that strengthened me. They forced me to stand when my knees wanted to buckle, to rise when my spirit wanted to surrender, and to trust when hope seemed like a distant memory. Every experience that tried to shatter me also had the power to mold me into someone stronger, wiser, and more capable than I had been before. There were moments when I felt beaten down, when rejection knocked at my door and failure whispered lies into my ear. It would have been easy to let those experiences define me, to believe that I was limited, unworthy, or incapable. But I realized that what tried to break me had no authority to determine my value or my destiny. The storms of life cannot rewrite the identity that has been placed within us. What tried to break me instead offered me a choice to succumb or to rise, to complain or to learn, to give up or to grow. Every challenge was an opportunity to choose strength. And every time I chose to endure, I built a muscle that no comfort or ease could ever develop. Strength grows when it is exercised under pressure, and life, in its mysterious ways, provides the most intense workouts. I learned to see obstacles not as enemies, but as builders. Each disappointment taught me resilience. Each betrayal taught me discernment. Each failure taught me humility and preparation. Each painful moment taught me empathy and patience. The very things that sought to destroy my peace became lessons in endurance, character, and fortitude. What tried to break me became the blueprint for my personal growth. It revealed the depth of my capacity and the height of my potential. I discovered that there is a hidden blessing in every trial, a hidden strength in every tear, and a hidden power in every setback. Strength is not merely surviving. It is thriving despite the circumstances that seem designed to destroy you. When I reflect on the times I was most challenged, I see a pattern. The moments that were hardest were also the moments that left the most lasting impact. They were the moments that forced me to confront fear, face uncertainty, and step into the unknown. They were the moments that required more courage than I thought I had, more faith than I thought I could muster, and more perseverance than I thought I could endure. And through each of these moments, I realized that what tried to break me was actually shaping me into someone stronger than I had been before the trial began. Strength is not something that can be given to you. It is something you grow through experience, through struggle, through the conscious decision to keep moving forward, even when the road is steep and the journey seems endless. The beauty of strength built through adversity is that it is lasting. Comfort may offer temporary satisfaction, but it rarely produces resilience. Life's challenges, however, leave a permanent imprint. They teach lessons that cannot be learned in ease. They build character that cannot be purchased, and they produce confidence that comes not from the absence of difficulty, but from having overcome it. Every time I faced something that tried to break me and chose to endure, I added a layer to my foundation, a depth to my courage, and a breadth to my faith. Strength is accumulative. It grows with every trial, every moment of endurance, and every decision to rise rather than surrender. What tried to break me also taught me self-reliance and inner fortitude. I learned that strength is not only the ability to endure external pressure, but also the ability to master one's own mind, emotions, and reaction. It is easy to be strong when circumstances are favorable, But true strength is revealed when the world conspires against you, when you are alone, and when you are tested in ways that expose vulnerability. In those moments, I discovered a resilience that was not dependent on approval, comfort, or external support. I found an inner fortitude that allowed me to face life with courage, even when the outcome was uncertain. What tried to break me cultivated a strength that was unshakable, because it was built from experience, not from circumstance. I also learned that strength built through challenge brings empathy and compassion. When you face trials, you gain insight into the struggles of others. You understand pain in a way that comfort cannot teach. You learn patience, tolerance, and kindness, because you have walked through fire yourself. What tried to break me gave me perspective. It gave me the ability to relate to those who are suffering, to encourage those who feel defeated, and to inspire those who are standing on the edge of despair. Strength is not just about surviving. It is about using the experience to lift others, to share wisdom, and to demonstrate that adversity does not have the final word. There were moments when I wanted to quit, when giving up seemed easier than continuing. But I realized that surrendering in the face of trials only prolongs the struggle, while enduring transforms the experience into strength. What tried to break me became a mirror, reflecting my weaknesses, my fears, and my doubts. But it also reflected my courage, my resilience, and my determination. Every scar, every setback, and every moment of struggle became a testimony that I am stronger than the circumstances I face. Strength is not defined by the absence of struggle. It is defined by the ability to rise after every fall, to continue after every disappointment, and to persevere when every instinct tells you to stop. I discovered that the process of building strength requires patience. Strength is not instantaneous. It is gradual. It is cultivated over time, shaped by repeated experiences, and solidified by endurance. Life's challenges cannot be rushed. They must be faced fully, endured completely, and learned from deeply. What tried to break me required me to be patient with myself, patient with the process, and patient with the timing of my growth. The very pressure that seemed unbearable at the moment was the mechanism through which my strength was constructed. Each challenge became a building block, each setback a lesson, and each moment of perseverance a reinforcement of the foundation being laid within me. What tried to break me built my strength because it forced me to confront reality. It forced me to see myself as I truly am, stripped of illusions, excuses, and pretenses. It revealed the depth of my determination, the intensity of my faith, and the clarity of my vision. It exposed the areas where I needed to grow, the habits that needed to change, and the mindset that needed adjustment. And in facing these truths, I became stronger, not just in body or mind, but in character, spirit, and resilience. Strength built through struggle is authentic because it is earned, not given. And it is enduring because it is rooted in reality, not illusion. Looking back now, I see that what tried to break me was actually a blessing in disguise. It was preparing me for the responsibilities, challenges, and victories that lay ahead. It was constructing a foundation of resilience, courage, and perseverance that no easy season could provide. It was building a strength that is not dependent on circumstance, recognition, or support, but on the unwavering truth of who I am and what I am capable of enduring. Every challenge, every hardship, every moment that tested me was secretly building the very strength I needed to thrive, to succeed, and to fulfill my purpose. What tried to break me built my strength. It taught me endurance, patience, courage, resilience, self-reliance, empathy, and perspective. It revealed my potential, clarified my purpose, and deepened my faith. The struggles I faced were not sent to destroy me, they were set to construct me. And as I reflect on my journey, I see clearly that the very moments that seemed most threatening were actually the architects of my fortitude, shaping me into someone stronger, wiser, and more capable than I could have imagined. The storms, the pressure, and the trials were not my enemies, they were my teachers. What tried to break me built my strength, and in that strength, I discovered the power to rise, to endure, and to become the person I was always meant to be. I survived because God sustained me. There were seasons in my life when the weight of the world seemed too heavy to bear, when every door I tried to open closed, and every step forward felt like wading through quicksand. In those moments, it would have been easy to give up, to surrender to despair, and to believe that the battle was too great for me to win. Yet here I stand, a living testimony, because there was a sustaining power greater than my circumstances, greater than my fear, greater than my own ability to endure. That power is God. It is the unshakable presence, the ever-faithful source of strength, the one who walks with us when no one else does, and the one who lifts us when we are too weary to stand on our own. I survived because I did not survive by my own strength, but because God sustained me every step of the way. There were days when my faith was tested like never before, when I questioned whether I could make it through, when the storm seemed endless and the night unrelenting. I remember feeling worn out, tired of fighting, and burdened by challenges that seemed insurmountable. And yet, in the midst of those trials, I discovered that survival is not just a matter of human endurance, it is a matter of divine support. God sustains us not by removing the obstacles immediately, but by providing the grace, the courage, and the wisdom to endure them. I may have been weak, but His strength became my foundation. I may have been fearful, but His presence became my refuge. I may have been lost, but His guidance became my compass. Every moment that threatened to overwhelm me became a moment where God's sustaining power was made visible. I learned that survival does not mean avoiding hardship. It does not mean walking through life without pain, difficulty, or challenge. Survival means moving forward despite the obstacles, pressing on despite the trials, and finding hope when hope seems lost. And I survived because God sustained me through every setback, every disappointment, and every moment of doubt. When I could not find the words to pray, when tears blurred my vision, when fear gripped my heart, He was there. His sustaining power is not always loud or dramatic. Sometimes it is the quiet assurance that you are not alone, the subtle whisper that tells you to take one more step, and the unseen hand that keeps you from falling. There were times when I faced betrayal, loss, and heartbreak. People I trusted let me down, opportunities I counted on slipped through my fingers, and the plans I had worked for seemed to dissolve before my eyes. In those moments, it would have been easy to despair, to believe that the world had turned against me, and to lose faith in the journey ahead. But I discovered that God's sustaining power is not dependent on people or circumstances. It is constant, unwavering, and sufficient for every trial. I survived because His grace was enough to carry me through the pain. His wisdom guided me through the confusion, and His love reminded me that I was never truly alone. I realized that God sustains us in ways we cannot always see. Sometimes His sustenance comes in the form of inner peace that surpasses understanding, a calm in the midst of chaos that steadies our heart. Sometimes it comes in the form of unexpected provision, doors opening where we thought there were none, or a word of encouragement at just the right moment. Sometimes it comes through people he places in our lives, friends, family, mentors, or strangers who provide the help, support, or guidance we need to continue. His sustenance is multifaceted, yet it always points to one truth: we are not abandoned, we are not forgotten, and we are not left to fight alone. I also learned that God sustains us through our own perseverance by empowering us to endure more than we thought possible. There were moments when I thought I could not take another step, when I was ready to collapse under the pressure, when I felt completely depleted. And yet, somehow, I found the strength to rise again. That strength was not mine alone. It was His working through me, giving me the courage to face what I could not face on my own. Survival in life is not passive. It requires action, effort, and determination. But even in our action, we are sustained by a power beyond ourselves, a divine presence that renews our energy, sharpens our focus, and enables us to press forward when every instinct says to stop. There were seasons of uncertainty when I did not know which path to take, when I felt lost and directionless, and when the future seemed unclear. In those moments, survival required trust in God's timing, trust in His plan, and trust that He was orchestrating events in ways I could not yet understand. I survived because I trusted Him. Even when I did not fully understand the journey, I survived because I leaned not on my own understanding, but on His wisdom. I survived because His sustaining power gave me clarity when I could not see the way, and courage when fear threatened to paralyze me. I came to understand that God's sustaining power is often revealed in the small, seemingly ordinary moments of life. It is in the quiet voice that tells you to keep going. It is in the sunrise that reminds you that a new day has begun. It is in the unexpected smile, the kind word, or the gentle encouragement that lifts your spirit. It is in the moments when everything seems lost, yet you find a reason to continue. These moments accumulate, forming a chain of sustenance that carries you through the most difficult season. Every breath, every step, every small victory is a testament to the sustaining power that is working on your behalf. I survived because God sustained me through my mistakes. I stumbled, I failed, I fell short, and I often questioned whether I was enough. But His grace is sufficient, and His sustaining power is patient. It picks us up when we fall, teaches us lessons through failure, and redirects us when we stray. Survival is not about perfection. It is about endurance, growth, and the ability to continue despite our shortcomings. I survived because His mercy kept me moving, His guidance kept me focused, and His love reminded me that I am always valued even when I falter. There were times when the pressure of life felt relentless, when I faced challenges on multiple fronts, when every problem seemed to multiply, and when hope seemed distant. But I learned that God's sustaining power is not measured by the absence of difficulty, but by the ability to endure through it. It does not mean the storm will disappear immediately, but it does mean you will have the strength to stand in it, to navigate it, and to emerge from it intact. Survival is not the absence of struggle. It is the presence of divine support that allows you to rise above the struggle. I survived because God's presence was greater than the pressure. I realized that God sustains us not only to survive, but also to grow. Every challenge, every setback, every trial is an opportunity to deepen our faith, to strengthen our character, and to cultivate resilience. I survived because each difficulty taught me something valuable, something I could carry forward into the next season of life. His sustaining power transforms survival into growth, struggle into wisdom, and pain into preparation for future victories. What I endured was not wasted. It was a training ground, a workshop, and a classroom where strength, patience, and faith were forged. I survived because God sustained me when I could not sustain myself. I survived because His love refused to let me go. His grace refused to abandon me, and His power refused to leave me powerless. I survived because He carried me through nights I thought I could not see the morning, through storms I thought I could not weather, and through trials I thought I could not overcome. Survival is never solitary when God is present. He is the source, the sustainer, and the strength behind every step. I survive because God's sustaining power is faithful. It does not waver, it does not fail, and it does not abandon. When all else fails, when circumstances turn against us, when hope seems lost, His presence remains. And that faithfulness transforms survival into victory. It allows us to not only endure, but to thrive, to not only exist, but to fulfill the purpose for which we were created. Every challenge I faced, every obstacle I overcame, and every season I endured became a testimony of His sustaining power. I survived because God sustained me. It was not by my own effort, my own strength, or my own wisdom. It was by a power far greater than I could comprehend, a presence that guided me when I was lost, lifted me when I was weak, and carried me when I could not carry myself. I survived because His grace was enough, His love was sufficient, and His power was unfailing. And because of that, I stand today stronger, wiser, and more resilient, a living testament that survival is not an accident, it is a divine provision. I survived because God sustained me, and His sustaining power continues to carry me, guide me, and strengthen me every day. I emerged stronger, wiser, and unshaken. There were seasons in my life when I felt battered by circumstance, when trials seemed relentless, and when the very ground beneath me felt uncertain. In those moments, it would have been easy to crumble, to let fear dictate my choices, and to allow disappointment to define my identity. Yet, through every struggle, through every challenge, and through every heartbreak, I discovered a truth that has become the foundation of my resilience. Adversity does not have the final word. I emerged stronger, wiser, and unshaken. Not because life was easy or forgiving, but because every hardship became a teacher, every struggle became a builder, and every storm became an opportunity for growth. Emerging stronger does not mean I was unscathed. I have scars, both visible and invisible, that testify to the battles I have fought. There were moments when I felt like giving up, moments when I doubted my ability to continue, and moments when despair threatened to overwhelm me. But strength is not the absence of struggle. Strength is the ability to rise despite struggle. I learned that every difficulty, every obstacle, and every challenge was not meant to destroy me, but to cultivate in me a fortitude that would carry me beyond the moment, beyond the season, and into the fullness of my potential. Strength is born in the furnace of adversity, tempered by trials, and forged by perseverance. I can stand today as evidence that the fires I walked through did not consume me, they refined me. I emerged wiser because every trial carried a lesson. Wisdom is not simply knowledge or experience. It is understanding and discernment that arise from reflection on life's challenges. Every mistake I made, every decision that did not turn out as planned, and every disappointment I endured became a classroom where wisdom was taught. I learned the value of patience, the necessity of discernment, and the importance of aligning my actions with truth and purpose. Life has a way of presenting lessons in disguise. Pain, struggle, and setbacks are not meaningless. They are opportunities to gain insight, to see clearly what matters, and to make better decisions moving forward. Each challenge I survived was a teacher. Each heartbreak I endured was a lesson. And each storm I weathered became a source of wisdom that continues to guide me today. I became unshaken because I learned that true stability does not come from external circumstances, but from the foundation within. Life is unpredictable. Circumstances change, people fail, and plans unravel. If our strength depends solely on the world around us, we are destined to be shaken at the first sign of difficulty. I realized that unshakable resilience comes from cultivating inner peace, faith, and conviction. It comes from knowing who you are, understanding your purpose, and trusting that the forces that sustain you are greater than any challenge you face. I have faced storms that threaten to overturn me, yet I stand unshaken because the source of my strength is deeper than the storm. Unshakable is not being untouched by difficulty. It is remaining steadfast in spite of it. Emerging stronger, wiser, and unshaken required endurance. There were moments when the weight of life pressed down so heavily that I could barely breathe. Moments when hope felt distant, and moments when I questioned whether I would ever make it through. Endurance is not merely surviving, it is moving forward with intentionality and courage despite exhaustion and doubt. I learned that strength grows not from comfort, but from perseverance. Every challenge I faced demanded that I dig deeper, push harder, and keep going when all I wanted was to stop. It was in those moments of persistence that my strength was fortified, my character was sharpened, and my ability to remain unshaken was tested and proven. Endurance transforms weakness into resilience, fear into courage, and doubt into confidence. And it was through endurance that I discovered the depth of my own capacity. I also emerged stronger because I learned the importance of perspective. Life often tests us with situations that seem overwhelming in the moment, and it is easy to become consumed by despair, anger, or regret. But perspective allows us to see beyond the immediate challenge and recognize the bigger picture. It allows us to understand that every difficulty has a purpose, every setback carries a lesson, and every storm is temporary. I realized that my struggles were not signs of failure, but stepping stones to growth. They were opportunities to cultivate patience, wisdom, and strength that would serve me in seasons to come. Perspective transforms suffering into insight, and through it, I was able to emerge stronger, wiser, and unshaken. I emerged wiser because I learned to value discernment and intention. I discovered that not every battle is meant to be fought. Not every word needs to be spoken. And not every path needs to be pursued. Wisdom comes when we pause, reflect, and choose our actions deliberately, rather than reacting impulsively to the pressures around us. Life will challenge us repeatedly, but it is our response that determines whether we are strengthened or weakened. I learned to prioritize what truly matters, to invest my energy wisely, and to align my choices with the values and purpose that guide me. Wisdom allowed me to navigate life with clarity, patience, and focus. And it provided the insight necessary to remain unshaken even when the world around me was unstable. Emerging unshaken also required trust. Trust that there is a purpose behind the challenges, that there is support when I could not stand alone, and that the trials I faced were not the end of my story, but part of my journey. Trust is the anchor that holds us steady when the winds of adversity blow. It allows us to move forward confidently, knowing that no matter how fierce the storm, we are not alone and we are not without direction. Trust strengthened my faith, fortified my courage, and provided the foundation for resilience that could not be shaken by circumstance. It taught me that even when life seems uncertain, there is a power greater than any challenge sustaining and guiding me. I emerged stronger because I learned the importance of adaptation. Life does not always unfold according to our plans, and flexibility is essential for navigating the unexpected. Strength is not rigid. It is resilient. It bends without breaking, adjusts without losing direction, and perseveres without surrendering. I faced situations that demanded new skills, fresh approaches, and innovative thinking. By embracing adaptability, I was able to respond to challenges effectively, turning obstacles into opportunities for growth and transformation. Adaptability, combined with the lessons learned through endurance, perspective, and trust, contributed to a strength that is unshakable because it is flexible, grounded, and informed by experience. I also emerged wiser because I learned the value of reflection. It is easy to move through life reacting to circumstances without pausing to understand what each experience is teaching us. Reflection allows us to gain insight, integrate lessons, and make meaning of the hardships we endure. I took time to consider what each challenge revealed about my character, my priorities, and my capacity. In doing so, I transformed moments of struggle into wisdom, confusion into clarity, and adversity into understanding. This reflective practice became a cornerstone of my growth, allowing me to navigate future challenges with greater discernment and confidence. I emerged unshaken because I discovered the strength of inner conviction when external validation failed, when support from others faltered, and when life seemed chaotic. I realized that true strength comes from an unwavering sense of self, grounded in values, purpose, and faith. This inner conviction became a stabilizing force, allowing me to stand firm even when the world tried to sway me. It is a strength that is not dependent on circumstance, opinion, or ease, but on the unshakable truth of who I am and what I am called to do. This realization empowered me to face future challenges with confidence, courage, and clarity, knowing that my foundation is solid and my resilience is real. I emerged stronger, wiser, and unshaken because I embraced the power of perseverance. I learned that success is not measured by the absence of struggle, but by the ability to endure, adapt, and grow despite it. Every setback, every disappointment, and every obstacle became a stepping stone to resilience. I cultivated patience, developed strategic thinking, and deepened my understanding of life, people, and purpose. I learned that challenges are temporary, lessons are lasting, and strength is cumulative. The trials that once seemed insurmountable became the very instrument that built the character, wisdom, and stability I carry today. I emerged stronger, wiser, and unshaken because I chose to see my experience as opportunities for growth rather than reasons for despair. I understood that every challenge, every moment of pain, and every season of uncertainty had a purpose in shaping me into the person I am becoming. Life storms did not defeat me, they refined me. Its challenges did not diminish me, they strengthened me. And its pressures did not shake me, they solidified my foundation. I stand today as a testament to the truth that emerging from adversity with strength, wisdom, and steadfastness is possible, and it is the natural outcome of faith, perseverance, and reflection. I emerged stronger, wiser, and unshaken, Not because life was easy, but because I refused to be defined by difficulty. I refused to be controlled by fear. I refused to be limited by circumstance. Every experience, whether painful or challenging, became a tool for growth, a lesson in resilience, and a step toward clarity. Strength, wisdom, and steadfastness are not gifts we receive without effort. They are cultivated through endurance, reflection, trust, and faith. I emerged from the storms of life transformed, fortified, and prepared, a living testament that no matter how intense the trials may be, we can emerge stronger, wiser, and unshaken. And now, as I stand here and look back on every season that tried to break me, every challenge that pressed down on me, every storm that seemed determined to wash me away, I want to say this: I made it. I survived. I endured. I rose. And the reason I am standing before you today, stronger than ever, is because those seasons did not have the final word. They were not the authors of my story. They were the teachers. They were the push, the pressure, the testing ground that revealed who I truly am. Showed me the strength I had hidden inside, the resilience I didn't know I possessed, and the power that comes when you refuse to be defeated by circumstances. There is something I want each of you to understand. Seasons of hardship are not signs of failure. They are not indications that you have been abandoned or that your dreams are too big. Seasons of trial are proof that you are being prepared. They are proof that inside of you is something powerful, something unbreakable, something that cannot be defined by temporary circumstances. The very thing that tried to break you is the very thing that can build you, mold you, and shape you into the person you are meant to be. Every tear, every moment of doubt, every sleepless night has a purpose. And if you look closely, you will see that it was never wasted. You see, strength is not the absence of struggle. It is born through struggle. Strength is not measured by how easy your journey is. It is measured by how you respond when the journey is hard. I learned that the human spirit has a capacity to endure far beyond what we imagine. But it is the sustaining power of God, of faith, and of purpose that allows us to rise higher than our trials. You may feel weak. You may feel worn down. You may feel like giving up. But that does not mean you are defeated. On the contrary, it means that your breakthrough is near, that your endurance is being strengthened, and that your destiny is calling you forward. You are stronger than the season that tried to break you. And when I say that, I am not just talking about surviving. I am talking about thriving. I am talking about emerging from the storm with a clarity you did not have before. I am talking about walking out of the fire stronger, wiser, and unshaken. I am talking about seeing every obstacle, every setback, and every disappointment as a building block, as a teacher, as a step toward the fullness of your purpose. What tried to break you did not define you, it revealed you. It revealed your courage, your resilience, your faith, and your unshakable spirit. And when you embrace that revelation, when you allow yourself to see the blessing hidden in the struggle, you begin to walk in a power that cannot be intimidated by circumstance. Think about it for a moment. Every time life pressed on you, every time you felt overwhelmed, every time you questioned whether you had what it takes, you grew. Every season of difficulty forced you to dig deeper, to stretch farther, and to reach higher than you thought possible. That pain that felt unbearable yesterday, it has become your teacher today. And that loss that seemed devastating, it has become your foundation for empathy, wisdom, and strength. That storm that shook you to your core. It has prepared you for the purpose that God or the universe or life itself has waiting for you on the other side. What tried to break you was never meant to destroy you. It was meant to reveal the depth of your resilience, the height of your courage, and the unshakable nature of your spirit. You survived because you were not alone. You survived because there was a sustaining power walking with you when you could not see the way. You survived because even when it felt impossible, God or faith or the forces of hope were carrying you forward. You survived because surrendering to despair was never your final choice. You chose endurance. You chose to rise. And you chose to keep believing when believing seemed too hard. And that is why today you are not broken. You are not defeated. You are standing, breathing, and ready to walk into the fullness of your purpose. You are stronger than the season that tried to break you. And I want you to understand something else. Strength is not just for you. Strength is meant to be shared. The lessons you learned in the storm, the endurance you built in the struggle, the wisdom you gained through pain, they are not only for your benefit, they are for others. Every tear you shed can become a source of empathy. Every challenge you endured can become a lesson to guide someone else. Every victory you claimed over adversity can become a beacon of hope for those still fighting. Your survival is not just a personal triumph, it is a testimony. It is a light that others can follow when they feel lost in the darkness. It is proof that storms do not last forever, that trials do not have the final say, that no matter how hard the season, it cannot break the spirit that refuses to give up. So as I conclude this message, I want you to take a moment and look at your own life. Look at the challenges you have faced. The nights when you felt alone. The moments when giving up seemed easier than going on. Understand this. You are still here. You are still standing. You are still breathing. You are still capable. And that alone is proof that you are stronger than the season that tried to break you. Every scar you carry, every battle you survived, every obstacle you overcame, it has all contributed to building the resilience, the wisdom, and the unshakable faith that you walk in today. You are not the sum of your struggles. You are the product of your perseverance, your faith, and your courage. Emerging stronger, wiser, and unshaken does not mean that life will be without challenge from this point forward. Storms will still come. Trials will still test you. But here's the difference. You now know that you can withstand them. You now know that you are capable of rising every time you are pushed down. You now know that the power within you, the faith within you, the purpose within you are greater than any obstacle you may face. You are no longer defined by the season that tried to break you. You are defined by the strength you built, the wisdom you gained, and the unshakable spirit that continues to rise no matter what comes. So hold your head high. Walk boldly into your purpose. Trust that every trial, every hardship, every moment of difficulty has been shaping you for this very moment. Embrace your strength. Acknowledge your growth. And let the world see that nothing, not failure, not heartbreak, not disappointment, not storm can shake the foundation of a person who refuses to be defeated. You have emerged stronger than before, wiser than you were yesterday, and unshaken by the pressures of life. That is your victory. That is your testimony. That is your truth. And as I leave you with this final thought, I want you to carry it with you. The season that tried to break you was never your end. It was your beginning. It was the fire that revealed your strength, the test that revealed your faith, the struggle that revealed your purpose. You are stronger, wiser, and unshaken because you refuse to be defeated. You are here to testify, to inspire, to guide, and to shine. No storm can silence you, no trial can contain you, and no hardship can define you. You are greater than every challenge, more powerful than every fear, and unstoppable. Because the spirit within you refuses to surrender. Rise up, stand tall, walk boldly, and declare to the world and to yourself that you are stronger than the season that tried to break you. You are unshakable. You are resilient. You are victorious. And the best is yet to come.